Welcome back to the Champions Corner. I'm your host, Adriel Orona, and today's guest is a friend of mine. He is a father, a husband, a man of faith, and the owner of Relentless Fitness and Training. This conversation is all about faith, growth, inspiration, and health. Today's guest is Noah LeCount.
I came a long way from the bottom. Now I'm around the globe doing shows with these sexual models. In a whole nother country, having this talking euros to pesos and dollars. This crazy for real. I just split up $1 million in cash, gave it straight to my mama. If you owe me some money, just keep it my.
Welcome to the Champions Corner podcast. How are we feeling?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. We had 2 great sessions today.
Yeah. It was a little bit lighter, but
yeah,
it was high energy.
Talk about where we are right now.
So we're at Relentless Fitness over in Amelia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy. It's kind of surreal. We're here now like 4 years. Mm-hmm. And this is really, what's cool about this is when people think gym, they think about just a gym with a bunch of machines and you got like random people walking all over the place. This is more like that personal training studio. This is where it's like, it feels a little bit more underground in the lab where we can work on someone's specific fitness and goals without life, without random people walking in and out, messing with things or looking at people funny. Right. It's where they can just focus on themselves, be themselves. My wife and I said when we first started this place, it was going to be people's third place, right? They have work, they have home, and most of the time, unfortunately, both of those places stress them out. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how can we create that third place so they can come in here and finally feel like they can get away, not to escape, but to fill their glass, fill back into themselves so they can go back to home and work life and be able to give that much more to that area of their lives. So yeah, long-winded answer for that simple question, but personal training studio for adults to work on themselves so they can give back into their life and ultimately change their lives because of it.
Absolutely. I think too, just with my experience being here, definitely like the atmosphere, the culture that is here is not a type of culture that you're going to receive at Planet Fitness, and no diss on any of these other gyms, but I've been in them. They don't have that same vibe, that same culture, that same group of people that is just there to see everybody win. And I mean, we see it through our trainers that are here.
Yeah.
But being a trainer now, being a gym owner, did you always see that when you were a younger kid? Did you think that was the end goal for you?
No, not at all. I was just talking to someone the other day how when I started getting into the gym space, started being a personal trainer, I had a mentor tell me, Noah, you just gotta open up a gym at this point because you're going so hard as a personal trainer. You might as well open up a gym because you're gonna succeed doing it. And I told him point blank, I'm never gonna own a gym. It's not in my wheelhouse. I don't want to do it. And here we are. I mean, that was probably 7-8 years ago. So it's funny how perspective changes and purpose changes over the course of years. It can just flip on a dime, and then you're doing something that you never thought you would be doing. And it just brings us here.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Hell yeah. Talk a little bit about your journey though, because we've had conversations before. You had this kind of whirlwind of events that kind of happened in your life, these different careers that you took to kind of get you here. So where did it start for you?
Yeah, it depends on how far you want to go back.
Let's go back, man. Let's go back. Let's talk about your story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up super athletic. So I was always around fitness and health. It kind of came natural to me. I really liked every single sport. I didn't succeed in one particular sport. I wasn't that kid necessarily. But I was able to try out so many different sports. I think my parents really encouraged me to play a sport like every single season just so I could be doing something. So I got to be athletic in a lot of different movement patterns in a lot of different ways, and I just was around the athlete mindset ever since I was a young kid. So fitness was always a part of my foundation, and I never had a period of my life where it left. Mm-hmm. The funny part is where that kind of the business and entrepreneurship side started to get tied in. And it started when I had like long, hot summers of like learning to cut grass. And it was funny, there was one summer I remember in particular when my dad he took a picture of me and printed out about 200 flyers of me on it and created a grass cutting business for myself like right there in 5 minutes and encouraged me to go door to door and just talk to people and shake hands and just see if they were interested in getting, cutting grass.
Right.
And I was horrible at it. I mean, door to door, 13 years old, and talking to a bunch of adults, you have no idea what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
But that just taught me the confidence to talk to people a lot older than me and to put myself out there and show them that I could help them. So tying both the athletic mindset and that young business owner mindset of just being able to control your own income and be able to operate on your own schedule, both of those things kind of got intertwined in me at a very young age. So that helped when getting out of high school. I was able to make that pivot of about to go into a career that I didn't like and quickly pivoting into something that I was familiar with,
right.
which was more business ownership because I had been doing it several years prior.
Right.
And that kind of takes it into like phase 2 of that season of life where I was kind of pinned in a corner to choose what career I wanted to pick. I don't know how high school was for you, but high school for me, it was a lot of pressure of picking that career
100%.
as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of kids get pinned in that corner where you know a bunch of kids who allegedly know what they want to do with the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And then you have a ton of kids who just act like they know what they want to do. And then another group of kids that have no idea what
they got no clue, yeah.
And a lot of kids get lost in that. And I think that's 100% normal, and I think that's expected too. But I think people just get too hard on themselves, right? With me, I wasn't necessarily hard on myself for not figuring something out, but I was very confused on where I needed to be, where God needed me to be.
Right.
And I went to school for firefighting. I was telling you about that a little bit. And I was going to be a firefighter, and I actually went through pretty much all the schooling that I needed to go through. So I get there, do the whole thing, get into Fire 1, Fire 2 classes. I'm doing even the physical things where we're putting on gear, and I have to do shadow days at different townships and departments and go on runs with these guys. Yeah. And I very quickly started to realize that this wasn't for me and this wasn't where I needed to be. And I gave myself a 30-day window before my birthday that I needed to make a decision on if I was going to be in or out. And the reason why I chose 30 days is because in about 60 days, I was going to graduate and I could become a firefighter. The only problem with that is I still needed to pass EMS. So It wasn't like, just stick it out for 60 days and you can have a career. It wasn't necessarily like that. It was finish fire and then you got to go to EMS, which is really more of the trickier side. Fire stuff is kind of easy. EMS when it starts to get a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
Because you're messing with people's lives at that point. Now for me, I had that 30-day window. By the time 30 days hit, I woke up on my birthday and I was like, this ain't for me. I got to do something else. And I won't forget, on that next Monday, I went into class, went up to my instructor, and I pulled him aside at a class and told him that I had to be out. And, it was a really hard decision for me.
Yeah.
But I needed to be able to do that. And all of that was kind of in this season of life. The reason why I decided to pivot, not only did I not like it, but I was telling you this, like in those fire classes, I wasn't just addicted to the firefighting aspect. A lot of my time in those classes in college was focused on helping the guys in that classroom with their own health and fitness.
Right.
So it's not like this was just completely out of the blue. Most of my time spent in these college fire classes, I was sitting next to dudes who would whisper over at me, asking for a workout plan, asking for a meal plan, asking them what their insight was on how to do this or that, or how they should be working out, whatever. Simple, questions that would come simple to you and I.
Yeah.
But I just loved it so much that I wasn't even paying attention to the assignments that I had.
How did they know, like, you were into that sort of fitness world? Like, were you telling people about it? Were you promoting yourself?
It wasn't even self-promoted at that point. It was just I looked different than everybody else in terms of I clearly was working out. I clearly was doing things differently. I was posting my workouts and putting myself out there a little bit, but I wasn't really trying to start a business yet per se. It was just something that I really liked to do. I never really thought that fitness was a career path. I never even really considered it until guys started offering to pay me for workout plans and stuff like that. I was like, oh, maybe I could do this instead. And that's when I decided to make that decision.
Hell yeah. And then I know that after you left firefighting school, right, you went right into business school, right?
That's like phase 3.
Yeah.
Right?
So let's talk about that season of life, because I feel like every season that we talk about for anybody, right, each season of their life leads them to what their end goal is or what they want it to be, right? And I feel like God uses the same thing, seasons of our lives, to kind of prep ourselves. It's like the heavy load work to get us to that final spot. So talk about phase 3 for you.
Yeah, phase 3 was crazy. It's like I get out of fire school. I have that summer. I tell my parents, I'm like, look, I'm taking a semester off so I can figure out what I want to do. I know I want to start my own training business. I know I want to get into that, but not sure how that's going to work out yet. So I took a semester off, and the more I had time to myself, and when I say time to myself, this wasn't a very like spiritual experience for me. It meant I was out partying half the week. I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning with friends, feeling hungover and horrible, but masking that with another night out of partying. So when I say I took a semester off to have time for myself, it was a very selfish time off. It was, now I have all the time in the world to just go ballistic on my party life.
Right.
So that's really what my semester off looked like. And the more I was doing that, the more I also had time to just focus on my workouts. When I didn't feel like crap or hungover, I was at the gym working out.
Right.
And I was also helping those other guys still as well. Even started like a free little fitness group at one point, just helping them get results, just so I could kind of build up a little street cred in it. So if I did decide to go all in on this, I had a little proof that I could help people, not just help myself.
Right.
So I kind of had in the back of my head, I knew what I was doing a little bit, but at the same time, I wasn't ready to give up that 20, 21, 22-year-old lifestyle yet.
One question I do want to ask you, though, is like, for example, for you to gain all this knowledge and all these experiences, were you experimenting like in the gym, like different workouts to hit different body parts and stuff like that? Because I know when you talk about programming a plan for somebody, for an individual, you obviously have to tailor it to what their needs are. Right. So then for you kind of learning about this, were you looking it up on Instagram? Were you doing all these kind of things? Or were you just fully experimenting in the gym and then figuring it out that way?
A lot of it was self-research, self-experimenting, things like that. I will also say I was working out with a lot of buddies who were kind of more in the bodybuilding realm too. Yeah. So just being around that environment of not only like discipline with showing up to your workouts no matter what, but also how to feel certain muscle groups, how to target certain muscle groups. That was all just a kind of a part of my gym atmosphere. So it was kind of natural. I didn't have to go out and do a ton of digging to figure out what I needed to be doing. So a lot of it just kind of came naturally with who I was around and the gym environment that I was at the time.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. And then phase 4. I know after that, boom, you finally decided to go all in.
Decided to go to business school.
Yeah.
So I decided to go to business school. So still going into phase 3 was like taking that semester off and deciding, okay, I'm going to go to business school because I want to start my own business. So I go to business school and find out very quickly that business school doesn't teach you how to start your own business. Right. Business school teaches you how to be an employee of a business and how to climb the corporate ladder and how to talk to your managers. Even I joked around with you the other day telling you about this experience where I had this class where it was about business emails.
Yeah, that's insane.
And the business emails it was a class specifically focused on how to email your manager or higher up. So you sounded professional, you sounded articulate, and you had all your I's dotted and all your T's crossed. That's how they taught you. And I just realized very quickly, I'm being taught how to be an employee, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Like, everybody has their own path, but that was a wake-up call for me because I was like, I'm clearly not in the right spot right now, and I'm learning things that I don't need.
Right.
So very quickly started dropping classes, not telling my parents that I'm dropping classes because there was a little bit of an agreement that if I decided to go, that some of it was going to be paid for and helped by with my parents. So I'm dropping classes so I can still have enough classes to where I got to go on site to campus and show up, but now I have more time to still continue doing what I love to do, which at the time was partying a bunch and working out.
Right.
That was like my 2 lifestyles that I was trying to be full-time in.
Yeah.
So, and then that's when I kind of started coming up on the last little bit of the semester and decided to drop out in front of my classroom, like publicly said it, and left that day and never came back.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. But talk about, I want you to kind of give some advice for a listener out there who's kind of like they have their toe in the water, wanting to start maybe their own business, their own gym business as well. Like, what advice do you have to that person?
Yeah, as far as gym business as a whole or just business as a whole?
Let's go gym business as a whole. Gym business as a whole. Because, you took all these different approaches, right? Yeah. You had different careers of life, and then you finally went all into your gym business, right? So let's talk about that gym business. What advice do you have for that person?
Yeah, the difference between being a coach, being a trainer, and a gym owner is you have to realize that the passion that brought you into fitness is not the same passion that makes you a gym owner. It's two completely different things. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. They don't take the time to actually think about that. They think that, oh, you're passionate about fitness, it would make sense that you want to own a gym.
Right.
It actually isn't like that, because when you own a gym, you're just a business owner. And business ownership across the board is very similar, same principles, very similar systems. And it becomes a lot more about what you do as an owner and how you try to grow the business, not just care about fitness and health.
Right.
So when you become a coach and you get into fitness, it's very selfish first because you're focused on your own results, and then it's very trying to take that selfish want for yourself and bring it to others. So that's purpose, and trying to make it your mission to help others achieve what you achieved. And then if you do want to take it to that next level, it's realizing, okay, if I want to help more people, there needs to come a point where I have to not operate as just a coach anymore. I have to operate as a business owner, and that's the only way we can help more people at that point.
Right.
And that was a big thing that I learned over the last few years when I opened this place is it's no longer just about someone's fitness goals, even though that is at the end game and their results. But at the same time, there comes a point where if you want to help more people, you have to make decisions to do things at a bigger scale. And sometimes that's bringing on a team, like bringing you in here and bringing other people to be able to reach that many more people as we grow.
And I'm noticing a common theme for you throughout your life is that drive to want to help others. Was that drive kind of inspired to you as a younger kid, or is that something you just learned and it grew on you over time?
It just grew on me over time. I don't think that's something that I was really born with. I think I was actually, I shouldn't say a selfish kid, but you're just not really helping others when you're that young. It didn't come natural to me. It just was something that I think just kind of started to grow in me. The more I started to do it, I realized how good it felt to actually help people. And then, coming into a relationship with God, that helped me on an even bigger scale. Because then I realized why I felt good when I gave to people. It was because it's actually what we're supposed to do. So that, I think, has just kind of grown more with my faith journey, more than me waking up one day and saying my life's purpose is to help people. I think that was just something that I realized is like the right thing to do. And if you can find your way of helping people that makes you tick and makes you happy, then you win.
For you, how important is your faith being a gym owner, being a trainer, being a father, being a husband? Because those are so much things that you have to balance all at one time. It's a lot of pressure. So how do you use faith to kind of guide you through all these struggles? And then especially with running a business too, man, you got ups and lows all the time. Right? Life is about ups and lows. So throughout that time, how do you use God? How do you use faith to kind of help guide you throughout that path?
Many different ways, but I will say, like, it's the foundation. It's everything, and we're all of us being Christians, that doesn't mean that we're perfect at it, right? But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters in my day is my conversations with God, because without that, I'm not getting the wisdom and clarity I need. The more I choose sin, the more I choose to not have conversations with God, the more I decide to not treat people like I'm trying to be like Christ, the more bitter I get, the more impatient I get, the more unclear and unstable I feel on my day-to-day basis. So it's not necessarily me being perfect with the routines. It's more so me realizing that this needs to be a discipline, or else my life will not work the way I want it to work. Right? I'm the kind of guy where I don't just want business success. I want all my areas to thrive, right? Fitness, your own fitness. You got finance or business, right? You got your family, and you got, fun life, right? Like, you got these areas of life that just make it all come together. And if you want to succeed in all of those areas, you need to lean on God and be able to learn how to try to hear from Him, so you know which directions to go.
Absolutely. And I think too, like, kind of bouncing off that too, like, God is going to open doors that we haven't even seen yet, because we haven't opened our eyes to Him. right? So I think like just for anybody who's listening, you know, who wants to kind of take the next step or pursue something that they haven't yet, they got to pray about it.
Yeah.
They got to give their life completely to God.
100%.
A lesson that I gave a few weeks back was the difference between somebody who believes in Christ and somebody who follows him, right? And I kind of want to touch on that too, because there's a huge difference between the two. Anybody can be a self-claimed Christian. You see it on a daily basis. People throw in their bios on Instagram or anything like that, like a little Bible verse or anything like that, right? But the true identification of a believer of Christ is going to be shown through their actions, right? And it's not like what can I do to kind of make you feel better? It's no, how can I make you feel, right? Because us as people, us as disciples, as Christians, we have an aura about us, a vibe, which it's going to be called the Holy Spirit, is the vibe that we give off, right? And people want to be drawn more towards us. And when I think about this gym and I think about you, definitely like we can tell that Christ is the principle of this gym.
Yeah.
Just on how people congregate, how people conversate. Like this culture is like no other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely huge, and I love hearing that about you because you see it, and I see it very clearly.
Yeah.
Now kind of diving into how you do your prep work for the gym. Like, do you have programs set up? Do you have, I don't know, do you just kind of like wake up one day and you're like, oh, this is what I got, this is what I'm going to do for that morning, for that session? Like, how do you kind of program a workout or a month for these clients that we have?
Yeah, so it changes based on the demographic you work with, right? Because who I was working with 10 years ago in the fitness industry is very different than what I'm working with now.
Right.
You know, 10 years ago, I'm working with young dudes who want to get jacked, who want to be confident, who want to get girls, who want to stand up for themselves and not be pushed around by other guys, right? Fast forward now, I'm working with a lot of 40-year-old moms and 40-year-old dads who just want to wake up and not feel like their bodies hate them anymore, right? So it's a very different style of training. The programs that I was even running for myself are very different pre-being a dad to now being a dad. My body feels different, even though I'm still technically a lot younger than the people that we work with, right? So the programming aspect of it really just comes down to what demographic are you working with, and it's a lot of trial and error, right? Because you get people coming in, and we might try things in the gym, and we're like, dude, this is not working today. We should not be doing deadlifts with this person or whatever it may be. So at the end of the day, we personalize it the best that we can. That's why we do that small group personal training here, because we can have that small group of people to where it still feels like that group camaraderie where you have great energy. It's very motivating, but at the same time, it's small enough to where we can personalize the workout for the individual, so we can make sure that even though we're following a general program for all the adults here, whoever is coming in, we'll meet them where we're at, and we'll make sure that we personalize it for them. So the program is meant to just really focus on strength and mobility at the end of the day, because most people just need to get stronger, build more muscle, and they need to feel better. They need to be more mobile, more flexible. So we focus on those two main things, strength and mobility. That way, the adult demographic that we work with can get what they actually need out of this.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Yeah.
Did you feel like it was kind of tough adapting to now your environment? Because I'm sure, like you spoke on, working with those young kids that are just wanting to get jacked, you train them or you work with them completely different to how we work with our adults that we train now. Yeah. So was it tough for you adapting to that changes in the environment?
I will say it was tough in the very beginning when I'm 19, it was tough to understand why a busy adult struggled with consistency, right? Because I'm working with 18-year-olds who they have all the time in their hands to work out. Right. So consistency was like not something that we even needed to think about. We didn't need to have a conversation on why they missed the gym or anything like that. Working with adults is a little bit different in that sense, because things pop up, life's crazy. So I would say that was the biggest adjustment, is learning the lifestyle difference of both of these age groups. But then once I learned that, it became pretty easy for me to then dumb down the coaching and make it extremely simple to try to make it foolproof. So that way these adults weren't coming in with these super hardcore programs that expected them to be in the gym 6-7 days a week, eating chicken, broccoli, rice 24/7, and just, being on a super strict routine that I could have these 18-year-olds on. Right.
And then a big thing too, like what we harp on here is like, definitely our goal here as trainers is to make them great, to kind of give them provide the needs that they're looking for inside the gym, right? But definitely us as trainers, we got to do a great job on kind of taking care of them outside of the gym. and what they eat and kind of how many steps they're getting in and things like that. So like, what do you kind of recommend for people that maybe they're working out on a daily basis, but they're not doing the core stuff, the things that really matter outside of the gym?
At the end of the day, working out is by far the best thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're not working out, you first need to focus on that. There was a study, and I don't have a source for this. You can look it up and fact check it or whatever. But there was a study that was done, I think a few years back, and it compared a couple different groups of people. And, Group A is a group that just focused on strength training. Group B was a group that just focused on nutrition. And they monitored them over, I think it was 90 days or something like that. And at the end of the 90 days, they came to the conclusion that the people who just focused on strength training and working out got far better results than the nutrition group. And the reason being is because the more this nutrition group focused on nutrition, the more stressed out they got about it.
Yeah.
And they would fall back into those poor eating habits again, binging on food, stress eating, emotional eating, or eating out more, or just not eating.
Right.
And the strength training group, they realized very quickly that eating poorly made them feel like crap during their workouts.
Definitely.
So they quickly pivoted to better nutrition as a byproduct of that, and because of that, they had the nutrition and strength training combined. So the reason why I say, hey, first get in the gym and just start focusing on that, it's by far the most important thing that you can do. Plus, someone who's overweight who is working out in strength training and building lean muscle is going to be healthier than an overweight person who's the same exact size who isn't working on lean muscle.
Right.
At the end of the day, that person who's strength training is going to live longer because they're strength training and working out, even though they might be just as overweight as the person who's not working out.
Right.
So working out is by far the most important thing you can do for your body. Our bodies are made to move. They're made to be mobile. They're made to be challenged. And if we're not doing that, then we're really falling short and cutting corners.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, after you get done with the strength training, then things come into place of like, let's just focus on protein.
Yeah.
It's the number one nutrition rule, hands down. It's not about following a certain diet. It's not about intermittent fasting or anything else like that. It's like, get your protein in, because if you're eating enough protein from whole foods like meat, you're not going to have enough room in your stomach to overeat on anything else.
Right.
So you're going to naturally eat more whole foods because of that.
And it all just feeds your muscles. And then you're going to see those results that you're looking for,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Why is strength training, though, the best type of training?
Yeah, well, as we get older, we have more bone loss. We end up getting weaker. Joints end up getting more fragile. We're more susceptible to weight gain because we end up being a little bit more stagnant, not moving as much. So then not only are we getting more pressure on our joints because of weight gain, but things are getting weaker as well. So there's so much that can be prevented by just building some lean muscle. I've heard a term saying that muscle is the largest organ on your body. If we aren't training that, then we're losing a really big piece of the puzzle that can ultimately make you thrive.
Right.
That strength that was used to pick up your kids is all of a sudden not there when you go to pick up your grandkids. The strength that you had, the balance that you had, or the bounce back time from injury that you had when you fell down on the ground in your 20s and 30s is no longer there when you're in your 40s and 50s and you fall and you feel that pain for days, if not weeks, right? If we're not strength training, we are literally conditioning our bodies to be weaker. So even at the end of the day, even though people want to see a physical result in the mirror,
Right.
if you are not doing it, if you're only making it about the physical result, it's just not worth it. But if you're doing it because you want to feel better and because you want to perform better, that's where the money's at. That's where the results are at. And if you do that, the results are going to come as a byproduct of it. Right. The results will come. They just take longer for some people, or it takes longer because you might not be consistent with the food. But as long as you're strength training, you're going to be preventing diseases. You're going to be living longer. You're going to be having longevity in your body and your joints, so you can be at your kid's wedding. You can watch your grandkids grow up, or just live an amazing life in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. I always see like the old dude. I specifically saw this one old dude growing up constantly running either on the sidewalk or riding his bike. And this dude had to have been in his 70s or 80s. And ever since I had that picture in my head of that dude out there, I'm like, I want to be that guy when I'm 70 and 80, not the guy who's caught up in the nursing home getting oxygen in his face, because I just wouldn't take a few hours a week to take care of myself.
And then, like you mentioned earlier, like consistency is the most effective thing that you can kind of involve in your life.
Right.
Now with you, like throughout your whole entire life, you've been consistently driven to continue to move forward for what your end goal was, right? But that all ties into confidence, having confidence in oneself. So for you, where does your confidence come from? Is it like from your own self? Do you get it from like God? Like where does your confidence come from?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I've actually never reflected on that, so it's a good question. I will say growing up, I never had a ton of self-confidence. And I think that got a little bit better the more I just tried to become more extroverted.
Right.
That helped a little bit more because then I realized like people actually didn't hate me or didn't view me a certain way. I was putting those things on me. So the confidence, I think, came once I realized that a lot of this pressure that I felt was actually on me.
Just self-added, yeah.
But confidence stems from doing the things that you said you would do.
Right.
And I think that's why working out can have a really big impact on someone's confidence, because when you tell yourself you're going to work out 3 times a week at this time and you're not going to miss no matter what, and when the life comes up, you're going to still work out. Maybe you have to push it back an hour or push it to a different day, but no matter what, you're going to get those workouts in. You build confidence and self-esteem, or you start to believe and trust in yourself that you can actually follow through on your word. I think confidence is a very tricky thing because a lot of people don't follow through on their word.
Right.
They're very low committed. They say they're going to do something and don't do it. They say they're going to call you and never call you. They say they're going to hop on your podcast and never hop on your podcast, right? There's so many things that can be involved in that. And if you're not following through on things you said you would do, even if it's something that you don't like right now, it's going to impact your confidence either in a positive or negative way. So I think that's a really big thing for me that I noticed. When I say I'm going to do something and I do it, I notice a little bit of a confidence boost.
Yeah.
And we're not always perfect,
right?
But for the most part, we're trying to maintain that, because every time you don't do what you say you're going to do, you're just chipping away at your self-esteem more and more, to a point where eventually you just start to go, I'm full of shit.
Right.
I'm never going to actually do this.
Right.
The people who say, I'll work out Monday. I'll work out next Monday. I didn't wake up today. I guess I'll do next Monday again.
Yeah.
You do that for years and years and years. Do you really think you're ever going to look at yourself as someone who's going to show up and be the best possible version of you?
Yeah, and then it just becomes normal. Then
Right.
you're just so accustomed. So then it won't just be you're missing out on the gym. It's now like, oh, whatever else comes, maybe it could be a diet plan that you're thinking about doing, or even like whether it's with your children or just different events, you're just going to be that person that's not committing to everything. So then you're going to lose a lot of trust from people.
Yeah.
A lot of trust from people. Now, I kind of want to talk about some adversity you face, because I know by our human nature, adversity is something that everybody's going to have to go through, right? So what are some challenges that you face that you've been able to overcome? And then what are some advices that you have for overcoming adversity?
Another good question.
Yeah.
So I think as far as overcoming challenges go, there's so many to pull from. I would say the biggest challenges for me was growing up and trying to like find my identity, right? I think that's a hard thing for anybody young. I grew up in a divorced home too, and acting like a different kid at 2 different houses was kind of normal, and talking to other people who grew up in those situations, we have similar conversations like that, and we go, okay, cool, I wasn't just crazy, like you were acting different at this house, you were acting different at this house. So you kind of get mixed up in that. Plus, I think anybody can relate to that at a young age too, because you act different at school, you act different with your friends, you act different when you go home with your family. So there's always these different moments in life where you're either trying to button up your personality or just let it go.
Right.
And that was a really big piece of my life, and I couldn't find security in how I wanted to act, how I wanted to talk, who I wanted to be. I would even talk different around the different types of groups of people I was with.
Right.
So when I finally found that, just by getting more of a relationship with God, finding something that I actually like to do, and realizing that at the end of the day, this life is so damn short, we might as well just do the thing and be all in and grab it and just take everything that you want out of this life in a good way. Then at the end of the day, nothing else really matters. You know, like this world, I think, was like put here, so it's like the stomping grounds of learning how we need to be more like Christ, and how we need to be better people, and how we can change other people's lives, even if it's on a small scale in your home, in your neighborhood, in your community. It doesn't need to be change the world. And I think a lot of young people get caught up in not having identity, feeling like they need to make their dent on the universe, and there's really like no in between there.
Yeah.
So just like find out who you want to be by trying a bunch of different stuff. Find the people that you like to be around. Find the music that you like. Find the hobbies that you like, the sports that you like, that makes you feel like you.
Definitely.
And the more that you can find things that make you feel like you, more confidence you're going to have, the more you're going to be able to overcome challenges, because now you're not looking at challenges as this huge mountain. You're looking at it as something that, hey, I have the confidence in myself to handle this because I have a track record of how I act when I face these things.
I think a big, like bouncing off that too, I think a big part of overcoming adversity has to do with who's in your circle.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of times, man, like the people that are kind of feeding you these ideas, these thoughts, can be either something that pushes you forward or holds you back from overcoming those challenges.
Yeah.
So kind of for you, like growing up, did you always make sure that you had, or not even, maybe not growing up, but like once you kind of fully stepped into this, like I'm going to be a gym owner, like I'm going to invest in this. What kind of people did you surround yourself with to kind of help you continue to push forward?
Yeah. Mentors are a non-negotiable in every season of life for me.
Yeah.
Whether it's paying someone to consistently learn from, or if it's just friends and inner circle people that you have connections with. When I was 18, 19, I really got fortunate enough to be kind of sucked into a mentorship where I was around a bunch of other young dudes, and it was more virtual based, even though we had some meetup events. It was more virtual based where us young dudes were trying to just figure out life, do it better than any other young guy that we know. So confidence, relationships, business, mindset, all the things, and try to have tools in our toolbox. So when we did have those negative lows in our life, we knew steps to take to try to pull ourselves out of that. When we had relationship issues, we knew how to have conversations at a young age to try to make those things better.
Yeah.
Right? So I was fortunate enough to be in a room like that at a younger age, in the mix of me trying to figure out this whole business thing out. And ever since then, I have realized how important it was to just have people who are a little further down the sidewalk than you. And I think that goes in all areas. Like, no, if you want a good marriage, you better get around people who have good marriages.
Yeah.
If you want to have, a good career life, a good job, find people that don't complain about their job every day, right? So you need to try to find people that not are exactly who you want to be, because everybody has some skeleton in their closet that they're not going to like about somebody.
Right.
But I might not like someone's overall character about one area of their life, but I might like another area of their life that I can look at and go, wow, I would really like to get kind of close to that. I would really like my fitness to look like that, even though I don't care for how he treats his family, or I don't care for his job, whatever like that. So you can pick different things that you like and just learn from them in that certain area of life.
Right.
And the more you do that, the more perspective and insights you can get from so many different mentors. And then when you're around that and you're building the confidence because you're doing what you said you would do, then you can come to your own conclusions about things on how you should go about it so that you can become you. So you're not just copying everybody as well.
I think a huge part of that too is you got to be a sponge, right? You have to be a sponge, because one thing that I've kind of learned throughout my young life journey is that like everybody has advice, good or bad. Right? Yeah. And it's on you if you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to take that piece of what I learned from maybe how he acted in this certain scenario or how he responded to the this other thing. But like for you being a sponge throughout your whole entire career, like even now still being a current trainer, like you have to constantly learn. Yeah. Right? You have to constantly change things out. Things got to be new, because after time, if you're just doing the same constant cycle and repeating the same old program and the same old things, like people are going to get bored. Yeah. You're going to feel bored, and then you're not going to feel happy and content. Yeah. So you being a trainer, how do you kind of learn new methods and new approaches to maybe how to build a program or how to train a specific client? Yeah. Well, you have to reflect, right? Like you have to give yourself an opportunity to actually think about it. That's step one. You can't just expect to show up one day and be better. You can't just necessarily even watch a YouTube video and be better. I would say what's cool about having the gym space here and being around adults who really
most are kind of broken when they come in, right?
Yeah.
They have something wrong. They have something hurting. Always keeps us on our toes.
Yeah, 100%.
So when we are met with a member or a client or someone new coming in who isn't even signed up yet, we're already expecting to be flexible.
Yeah.
So we're always expecting to learn something new from this specific individual. And I might not have the answer for you right away, but I'm going to find the answer.
Right.
So it's more about being able to reflect and adapt from that. So if I know somebody was feeling something specific on an exercise here that I didn't like, after they leave, if I can't figure it out in the session, after they leave, I'm going to take a minute to either do it myself or maybe watch a video if I feel like I can find a good source. But most of the time it's going to be hands-on experience where you're trying to test things, trial and error things to see how you can learn from this and how you can make it your own. So, and that goes really for anything. Even if it's having someone who's struggling, let's say on the nutrition end of their program, not even just the fitness end, how can I make this so simple for someone that they can't fail at it? And I'm taking in the factors of their lives and how busy they are and stuff like that too. So it's very flexible on the person.
Right.
But you just have to care.
Yeah.
And you have to take times to reflect, even if it's just for a few minutes of like, okay, how can we change this for next time? And over doing that, when you do that for 10,000 plus hours of coaching sessions, you end up starting to be able to do it faster and faster, where you can come up with solutions a lot quicker on the spot, and people think you're a magician.
Right, but it's
like,
really
no,
just
it's
off
just
experience,
doing
just
it
repetition.
so much.
Definitely. Yeah. I think too, with being a trainer, you gotta get reps. Because if you don't get reps, it all ties back. Like, you're not gonna learn. So when you get hit with all these different pop-up scenarios, because we see it on a daily basis. Like, so somebody new comes in, or somebody has a different problem that is different from the day before.
Yeah.
But we definitely got to be on our toes and just be able to react.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to kind of talk with you is I want to give you a scenario, okay? I think a common theme that, like with parents, is they struggle with a lot of back pain. We get a lot of shoulder pain. We get a lot of joint problems that happen over time, right? Accumulate with age, okay? Now, say I'm let's say I'm gonna give you, like, say they're in their 50s, okay? They're in their 50s. Let's say she's a woman. She's a 50-year-old woman, struggles with back pain. She feels like in her lower back, like anytime she bends over, anytime like that, she always feels a sharp pain, feels like stabbing, right? But she doesn't have access to the gym, doesn't have access to anything like that. What are some simple things that she could do at her house to kind of strengthen her back problems?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, most people don't even walk enough in general, so it should probably just be like, let's just start getting comfortable in your body. Let's not even add stimulus yet.
Yeah.
Right? Don't pick up a barbell. Don't pick up a dumbbell. If she came here, we'd be doing that stuff, but it's more guided. When you're doing it on your own, it can be a little bit trickier because you really don't know where to start if you're doing things the right way. So I'll say if it's just on her own completely, just start walking, just start getting up and off the ground, figuring out what movements hurt, what movements don't, and figure out that first so you can get a little bit more comfortable and confident in your body. And then I would say at the end of the day, low back is your core.
Yeah.
So if you can focus on just some simple core workouts, again, going back to making sure you're picking core exercises that don't hurt and trying to make those decisions correctly, either through your own research or through your own experience. So trying to get your core stronger, trying to get your glutes and your hamstrings stronger so it can take pressure off your low back. Those are the first kind of few steps to do a lot of body weight movements to get used to and get comfortable with your body, and maybe strengthen some things in the meantime to help alleviate some pain and get you to be a little bit more confident to then try other things. But at the end of the day, the end game is to get to some form of strength training.
Yeah.
There's no reason why anybody should be babying a situation like that. There's no reason why you should think that you're broken and your back is made of glass and you have to keep it, protected and treat it as it's super fragile. At the end of the day, it's not the case. Most of the time, lack of strength is the issue.
Yeah.
And so the quicker you can get yourself into a place where you can train strength, issues usually disappear a lot quicker. That's why when people come here and they have back issues, it can probably take only a couple weeks for someone to be like, my back actually feels a lot better.
Right.
And then fast forward a year and they're like, oh, I haven't felt my back in months. But when someone's doing it on their own, it can just take a little bit longer because you have to learn it yourself.
Right.
You have to try to figure it out yourself. And that's, I would say, the biggest difference between doing your own fitness, which is totally fine, or finding a coach, is you're investing in speed. Same thing for the mentorship question that you brought up just a few minutes ago. I want to have mentors in my corner that I can reach out to so I can get to my solution faster. I don't want to hem and haw on something. I don't want to waste my time in this life. This life's too short.
Right.
I want to figure out the answer. Give me the solution so we can get moving. And sometimes you need to invest in that. Sometimes you just need to ask a question and do your own research. So at the end of the day, it's just getting comfortable in your body and get the strength as fast as you can.
I got you. And then I feel like a common thing too with our clients, and not just our clients alone, but with people outside, a lot of people don't stretch. So how important is it for someone to be flexible, especially an older adult that has life, has work, or maybe they're sitting in the chair all day?
Yeah.
How important is stretching or having a routine for that individual?
Yeah, at the end of the day, movement is life. Movement is medicine. If you're not moving, you're going to feel more beat up than if you are moving a lot and working out a lot.
Right.
And a lot of people will say, like, I already feel beat up. I shouldn't start working out. It's like, actually, it's probably going to help.
Yeah.
So the first thing is trying to get out of stagnation as quickly as possible. So if you have these long days where you're just sitting down all day, or even just standing at a standing desk all day, it can be really hardcore on your joints. So you need to do things that I would like to call exercise snacks, where you're breaking up your day with small little tidbits of movement. This could be 60 seconds, this could be 5 minutes, this could be 10 minutes. And for some of our people here, I've even told them, like, hey, when you get literally 60 seconds, because I know you got it, step away from your desk and just do 60 seconds of squats. If you're at work, go do it in the bathroom. Go do it at the parking lot. Do it where someone doesn't see you if you feel insecure about it. But you got to move and do something to get your joints. Not just a little walk, even though that can help, but actually challenging range of motion through various different stretches or mobility patterns, or just doing squats, lunges, push-ups, whatever, just to get blood flowing and make your body feel alive real quick. Just that can literally change your life and make you not feel tight anymore. It's not going to change your progress in terms of lean muscle gain or weight loss or anything like that, but it will make your body feel better the more you move, and in turn, you'll get more energy and more motivation from it because you don't hate your body and hate how you feel as much.
Right, definitely. You know, I want to bring up too, I feel like a common theme that we see, especially with women, when the term goes out, strength training. Right now I'm kind of going back to strength training, right? But when we hear that term, I feel like a lot of women kind of fear that word because they're like, like I don't want to get too strong. I don't want to look like the Hulk or anything like that. I just want to maintain my body, right? But would you feel like that's a false claim that a lot of times happens?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, most of women nowadays are coming to the conclusion that strength is the way. Strength is the answer. I've noticed that tide is starting to shift in the fitness industry over the last few years, like more specifically the last few years, where they want to be stronger, they want to feel confident, they want to feel like they can own their bodies and own their life. And strength training is very empowering, as we know, in that way. So it's very gravitating for a lot of women now. But in general, strength training has been reserved for like the bodybuilders and power lifters and the kind of the alpha crew, right?
Definitely.
So the perspective around strength was very negative for a while for women because they thought that they would look like men. And at the end of the day, your body is not built like that. Right? And unless you are really trying to look like a jacked dude, you're not going to look like one. And even then, if you are trying, you're going to have to at some point get on some kind of hormone enhancement
to even look close
to that. So I think a lot of bodybuilding females who are into that stuff have kind of misled a lot of women who just want to feel strong and just want to feel good, because they've made it look like that. If you train like me, if you strength train, or even if you just go in the gym at all of a sudden you're going to look like me. Like, no, that's not the case. Now, there's another side of that coin too. Looking like that doesn't happen overnight. So even if you had a certain gene code to look like a jacked female, you're going to catch it before it happens. I can promise you. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, all of a sudden I wake up and, oh my God, I look like a dude, I'm jacked. That doesn't happen, right? Like you're gonna see the months and years of progress. And the females who do look like that, who maybe for the average woman would look at that and go, oh, she's too built for me. But that female maybe has no part in any kind of enhancements. She just has a really good genetic code and she's been training for a decade or more. That woman wanted to look like that. Like she's training for that. She knew probably 5 years ago where this was heading.
Yeah.
And she decided to go all in on it. So I think a lot of it is just realizing that this stuff doesn't come overnight. And also you have to really strive for something like that. And if you don't want that, that's fine. We're talking about getting stronger, feeling good, feeling lean and looking lean in your body. Right. And at the end of the day, that's what the most people are going to end up looking like when they commit to strength training for the rest of their life.
100%. And then like when it comes to being in the weight room and doing all that kind of stuff, right? Not only are you have to be working hard while you're working out, right? You got to be eating the correct things, but what kind of supplements are needed for like muscle growth and toning and all these kind of things? Is it vitamins? Is it protein powder? Like where's all this? What supplements are good for that kind of individual?
Yeah, there's so many different kinds of supplements out there, so it can be really hard to say like these are the ones you need to take, because at the end of the day, it can come down to deficiencies too. Like someone might take a blood test and realize they're low in vitamin B. Okay, we should probably take a B vitamin. That doesn't mean everybody should be taking it.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about supplements, there's a few different categories of supplements. This is the way that I like to explain it to our clients because it just helps them understand it a little bit better. People hear protein supplements and automatically think everybody needs to hop on protein. Not necessarily. If you really love to eat meat and you love to eat protein that's real food, I'd rather you eat real food from protein all day than drink away protein powder. So there is like health supplements and there is more performance supplements. Performance supplements are, in my opinion, your protein powders, your pre-workouts, your branched chain amino acids, so BCAAs, your, things like that help you perform better in your workouts for the most part, or help with recovery, things like that. So those can be dependent on how well you're treating your body. Most of the time, your recovery and your performance can be better if you're eating enough protein and you're getting enough sleep. Yeah. Most people aren't. Right. So then they have to resort to something like that to maybe help them get better sleep, help them bounce back from their workouts better, help them feel a little bit more hydrated throughout their day, things like that. So most people aren't doing the basics. So that's when sometimes supplements can come into play if you can't be 100% with the basics. We always try to get people up to the basics first. I'll even tell people here who ask about supplements, don't buy this yet until we get you here. And then if we're still struggling with the sleep, for instance, 30 days from now, after trying these few things, then we can add our sleep supplement, right? So we want to make sure that we're mastering the basics the best that we can before we pivot. And then you got the performance side of things, or the health supplements as well, where you have your vitamins, your fish oils, your creatines, things like that. Those tend to be a little bit more for general population. A lot of people should be involved in those kind of supplements because most people have deficiencies through food automatically, and most people could use a little bit of a boost in that sense. So creatine, I would put in the health, even though most people would probably put it in more performance because it does help your workout performance. Creatine now, I mean, you're seeing it all over the place. It's more mainstream now than ever, where creatine 10 years ago, you're having people say that it's going to cause hair loss and, and infertility and things like that. That's all myth garbage. And nowadays you're seeing women take it, old people take it, youth athletes take it. It's by far, it's like nature's multivitamin. Creatine is in your muscles right now. It's in the steak that you eat. It's in all meat that you eat, right? So,
well, hold on. What does creatine do to the body?
Yeah. So it can do a few different things. One, it's really, really great for brain health. It's really great for power output. That's kind of where it got known at, where creatine increases power output, so think more stamina for your lifts. If you have more stamina for your lifts, you're probably going to lift more. You're probably going to lift more reps. So in turn, get some better progress out of that too. And then when you stop taking it, you feel weaker. Not necessarily weaker, but you feel weaker because you don't have that extra stamina. The reason why it's giving you the extra stamina, though, is because creatine increases ATP, which is the energy that your cells run off of. If you have more ATP in your body, you have more stamina. You have more natural energy because your body has more gas in the tank, right? So creatine now is even showing that because it increases ATP so much, if you take it in higher doses, it can even help if you're really slacking on sleep. Most people, especially adults, are very inconsistent with sleep. They might get 8 hours on the weekend, but then they're 4, 5, 6, 3 hours throughout the week. It bounces all over the place. So having that supplement in rotation just keeps energy levels restored and keeps workout performance kind of at that good baseline, so you don't feel as inconsistent with how much sleep you got or how much food you ate that day. Things like that.
Yeah. When it comes to muscle growth and building that and being stronger, around how much sleep would you say is kind of necessary for that growth? Because I feel like, even in myself, right, I probably would be so much stronger if I slept a little more.
Yeah.
Right? But I feel like there's a lot of people that are not too knowledgeable about that. Like, what is the right number, right amount of sleep, right hours of sleep that's going to help with that muscle growth?
You know, I'm not really a specific expert in that category, but I always just kind of say 6 to 8 hours is usually that range that works for a lot of people. Some people operate great with 6 hours. Some people operate way better if they're getting 8 or 9 hours of sleep.
Right.
There's also age factors in there too. When you're younger, you need typically a little bit more sleep, and then it starts to get, when you're in your youthful adult years, I think you can get away with a little bit less. So I think it fluctuates for the average person.
Yeah.
But I always try to recommend, like, try to go for how you feel best. Most people know how much sleep they feel great off of. The problem is if your lifestyle allows you to get that much. Right? Or are you too stressed to get into that place too? Because most of the people's issues is staying up too late, and they're doom scrolling on social media, or they're stressed and anxious and their mind's just going crazy because they can't fall asleep any sooner. So there's lifestyle factors in there too that are preventing people from not only getting enough sleep but getting good quality sleep.
Right.
I think there's I saw somewhere I think it was a book that I read actually showed that in an hour's worth of sleep before midnight is equal to 2 hours of sleep after midnight. Don't quote me on that, but it was like hours before midnight are so much more valuable than hours after midnight. So the earlier you get to bed, the better, because you're going to give yourself an opportunity to get into deeper REM cycles, deep sleep, so that you can wake up and feel refreshed.
Yeah. On the topic of doom scrolling, right? I think it's so important for people to put limitations on social media or all these things that can distract them.
Yeah.
Right? And then with being a business owner, being a father, being a trainer, being a follower of Christ, like, what kind of limitations do you put on things like social media, or kind of things that can take you away from that mindset that can make you feel and make you be productive?
Yeah, I think everybody goes through seasons where they're sucked into their phones and not. It's definitely a very distracting place to be.
Yeah.
And I tend to definitely get a little bit more distracted. So I need to have a little bit more boundaries with it. Some people are like, I hate Facebook, I'm never touching it again. And they can just delete the app and be gone.
Right.
Being a business owner, I have to have those social media platforms. I am incentivized to look at how a post is doing, to see what people like, to see what we should be producing more of or producing less of. So I like to keep a pulse on things in that sense. But when you open up social media, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see something that you like to see or get distracted by, and you start going down a rabbit hole, even if it's for a few minutes. I notice, though, every single time I hop on social media, dude, I never hop off feeling better.
Right.
I never hop off feeling better. I usually hop off feeling a little unclear, a little out of it, and I don't feel great about myself because I feel like I just wasted a bunch of time. So there is an app that I actually just recently came across and downloaded. A friend recommended it to me. It was called Screen Zen. There's so many different apps out there that like do this kind of thing, but I downloaded this one just because a friend told me about it, and it just gives me an opportunity to limit certain apps for the day. Mm-hmm. You can limit how many times you open the app, how long you can stay in the app for before it closes you out of it. And that in itself is just given a good boundary. Now, you still have to make the decisions because you can unlock it and still get in the app. So you still have ultimate control over it. It's not like completely
blocks you out,
gridlock you out of everything.
Right.
Like, you ultimately have to make that decision. But you're still faced with the decision to unlock the app or not.
Right.
So, sometimes I'll get a little extra unlock in there because the 10 minutes that I had limited, I needed 11 because I was looking at one more quick thing, right? But for the most part, it's cut my screen time down tremendously. Like, I think I've only been on social media for maybe an hour total over the last 2 weeks.
Do you feel like doing that though, has that made your well-being feel better? Like, do you feel a lot better, like with your body, knowing that you're not spending that 2 to 3 hours on your phone a day?
Yeah, because I feel like I'm actually doing something more throughout my day. And when the way that it tricks your mind is kind of silly because I'll be sitting there, maybe not a whole lot to do, and most people's immediate default habit when they don't know what to do in the moment is pull out their phone.
Yeah.
You're in a Starbucks line, you're pulling out Facebook.
Right.
When you're at a traffic light, I see people watching TikTok, not even just at traffic lights, but especially at traffic lights. So it's like you're always incentivized by this thing, to have monkey brain and immediately look at it, right? So I think it's always there to look, but you got to be able to have those barriers because then when you don't want to, if I get one chance to open up social media a day, I don't want to waste it. You know what I mean? I don't want to just open it because I got bored.
Right.
Maybe I need it later to check in on that piece of content. Maybe I don't even need to check on a piece of content. Maybe I want to look at it later because I want to see what my friends sent back to me after I sent that funny video from a few days ago.
Right.
So it's like there's so much boundaries around it where I don't want to waste that one time that I can open up the app for 10 minutes if I actually do need social media later for some kind of communication or to post something for the business, whatever it may be. So I end up staying off of it. So when I'm in those moments where I feel bored or I'm in that line, I'm trying to rewire my brain and find out what did people do before social media and without phones.
It's crazy.
Because I gotta try to fill this white space time. Maybe I learned to not try to fill it with anything and I just enjoy the present moment too. So I'm trying to rewire my brain like that right now. That's my current kind of goal for myself.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Where can people check your guys' page out, your social media, this gym? Where can people or reach out to you guys at?
Yeah. So Instagram is Train Relentless and Facebook is just Relentless Fitness and Training. So Facebook, Instagram, those are the main two spots. And that's where we're the most active, where we get the most people reaching out. It's where most of our members engage as well. So it's just a really easy spot to hit us up at.
And then one final message for that person that they have their toes in the water, they want to commit to a gym, but they haven't fully bought in. What message do you have for that individual?
Just don't stop.
Yeah.
Find what you want to do, even if it's not something you're 100% with what you want to do. Just attack it with 110%. And be relentless. Be persistent. Show up every single day like you actually give a shit about your life. And the more you do that, the more you end up honoring God, and the more God ends up opening up other doors for you because he realizes that he can now use you as a vessel to bring his work to the world. Yeah. But if you show up every day, sitting on your hands, complaining about every day, complaining that you don't know what you want to do, God's not going to use you.
Right.
You're not giving him a reason to.
Right. That's real.
Yeah.
Well, Noah, it's been such an honor, my friend, having you on. I'm so glad we were able to finally, get this
is
in the
cool,
work.
man. This is really cool. I'm proud of you. This is awesome. You got the
it.
setup.
Hell yeah. But I appreciate your time, brother.
I appreciate you, man.
Yes. What an inspiring conversation with Noah. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Champions Corner podcast.